So let me tell you about Samuel Cardillo. This guy's story is just incredible. He's only 28, and he's already a tech mogul. He's worked with military intelligence, and now he's literally reaching for space. But here's the crazy part. His journey started way on the other side of the law as a teenage cybercriminal. So how in the world did he go from hacker to visionary? Let's get into it.
Okay, just so you get a sense of the scale we're talking about here, one of his companies, a thing called RTFKT, was so cutting edge that a little brand named Nike, you might have heard of him, swooped in and bought it. And get this, it happened in just 8 months. 8! I mean, that's a crazy fast timeline for an acquisition of that size. Almost unheard of, really.
But, to really understand that kind of success, we have to go back, way back. His story doesn't start where you'd expect, like in some fancy boardroom or a university lab. Nope. It starts behind a keyboard, deep in the shadows of the internet, with some, let's just say, highly illegal activities.
All right, let's dive into Chapter 1, the teenage cybercriminal. This is really where it all begins, where you see this raw, kind of unfiltered talent first bubble up, long before he ever thought about channeling it into a legit business.
I mean, when I say he started early, I mean astonishingly early. He got his hands on his first computer at just 4 years old. By 6, he's already coding websites. And by 9, he'd built his first virus and started a business selling them. Can you believe that? Of course, this all came to a screeching halt when he was 14, because that's when the federal police knocked on his door. And look, this wasn't just some kid's hobby. We're talking serious business. At his peak as a 12-year-old, he was pulling in over 20,000 euros a month from selling viruses. That is serious money, especially for a kid who hadn't even finished middle school. The money was so good and so unexplained that his own mom had no idea where it was coming from. She'd actually search his room, totally convinced he was selling drugs. The truth, though? The truth was way crazier.
So, what finally got him caught? Well, it's a wild story. There was a public transport strike, and it meant his sister couldn't get to her final exams. So a 14-year-old Cardillo got mad. And what does he do? He decides to test out a new botnet by launching a massive cyber attack on the transport system, and boom, he takes the whole thing down for 48 hours.
So when the police finally caught up to him, and by the way, he accidentally gave himself away to a news crew, which is pretty funny, the whole situation takes this really strange turn. You'd think they'd throw the book at him, right? Instead, the head of the Federal Computer Crime Unit was so blown away by his skills that he hands this 14-year-old kid his business card and says, "Call me when you're 18.
So, after the arrest, Cardillo's life really spirals. He hits rock bottom. But sometimes it's those difficult moments that force a massive change. And for him, it led down a very unlikely path to redemption. When he turned 18, he just hit a total wall. His estranged father completely drained his bank accounts, leaving him with nothing. He fell into this deep depression, even thought about suicide. With literally nowhere else to go, he volunteered for the Israeli army, just looking for some kind of purpose. And it was there that he started to rebuild, eventually finding his way into an intelligence unit, where, suddenly, his very unique skills could actually be put to good use.
So flash forward to the 2014 conflict. He notices a problem. The public had no easy way to understand what was happening with all the rocket attacks. So inspired by a video game, of all things, he builds this application. It was basically a simple 2D military-style map that showed the threats in real time. It just made all this complex data instantly understandable for everyone. And guess what? The app was so good, so valuable, that it only took 4 months for the Israeli Ministry of Defense to buy it. Just like that, he was back in the game. And this time, it was all legit. Okay, so this next part of the story, this is where his insane technical skill finally meets some visionary entrepreneurship. And it leads to his biggest commercial success so far. He co-founds this company called RTFKT, pronounced Artifact. And the idea was honestly revolutionary. They decided to use NFT technology, non-fungible tokens, to create these verifiable, one-of-a-kind digital things, and then apply that whole concept to high-end fashion. And where do you start with fashion? With the ultimate cultural icon, of course, sneakers.
So how did this actually work? Well, their model, which they called the Forge, was just genius. Step 1, they'd release a digital sneaker as an NFT. Step 2, collectors would buy the digital version first, locking in their ownership on the blockchain. And only then, step 3, would they actually make the exact number of physical pairs that were sold.
This was brilliant. It got rid of waste, it built this incredible link with their community, and it created a product you could absolutely verify, basically making counterfeits impossible.
And this idea was so powerful that, yep, you guessed it, Nike bought them for a huge amount of money in, say it with me, just 8 months. I mean, what a journey, right? From teenage hacker to getting bought out by one of the biggest brands on the planet.
But you didn't think he was going to stop with sneakers, did you? Cardillo's ambition is way bigger than that. Today, he's playing at the very forefront of two of the most powerful technologies out there, private satellite intelligence and AI.
His other big venture is a company called Shadowbreak. Now, it started off analyzing and reselling data from other people's satellites, but now they're launching their own. They're literally building a private intelligence network up in space.
So you're probably wondering, who buys this kind of data? Well, the list is way more diverse than you might think. It's not just governments and military spies. We're talking media outlets like the BBC, real estate firms trying to scout land, even scientists at Stanford University used his data. They figured out how to estimate North Korea's uranium stockpile just by analyzing dirt excavated from the ground, from space. That's incredible.
Okay, so after you've completely changed the game in fashion and started launching your own satellites, what do you do for fun? What does a guy like this do in his spare time? Well, the answer is just as futuristic as you would hope.
For fun, he plays around with artificial intelligence. And get this, he's developed real-time deepfake technology. Now, that's a massive technical challenge, right? It needs insane processing power to work without any lag. And it lets him be on a video call and, with just a click of a button, completely transform his face and voice into, say, Elon Musk, live. It is both absolutely mind-blowing and, yeah, a little bit terrifying.
So what drives a mind like this? What's his big worldview? Well, when you ask him, his answer really gives you a peek inside his head. He pulls from science, from philosophy, from religion, and he lands on one conclusion. I believe we live in a simulation. For him, reality itself is just another system to be hacked, another puzzle to be solved. So when you look at the whole picture, from a kid causing chaos online to an entrepreneur who's literally building our future, Samuel Cardillo's story is really a testament to what happens when curiosity is just limitless. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? In a world where tech gives us almost godlike power, what are the boundaries? And maybe more importantly, who gets to draw them?
So that's a wrap on this explainer. If you want more stories about the innovators and disruptors shaping our future, make sure to subscribe and share. Thanks for joining me.